So this is just like the most fun month ever. We are talking about praying and growing, and every week I'm going to sort of revamp what we did the week before because they're all going to build on each other. In the Centers for Spiritual Living, we have something called the Spiritual Mind Treatment or Affirmative Prayer, and we use 5 steps. So all 5 Sundays, we're going to talk about a step, and they all build on each other. So the first step last week that we talked about is the recognition stage, recognizing that God is all that there is. And this is I'm also incorporating the 3 faces of God and the 4 kingdoms. So it's a lot of information, but it's fun. So the 3 faces of God is third, second, and first person. And so last week we were doing third person, which is we were talking about God. We were describing all that God is. God is love, peace, harmony, joy, and there's nothing opposite to it. And how important that is, because the first kingdom consciousness is to me, where we can feel like a victim to the world around us, to people, situations, our family, our heritage, our biology, to the system, whatever the system may be, the government system, the political, the economic system. So that's sort of all the negative side of that first kingdom consciousness, which is the victim consciousness. But there's also a place of powerlessness. All 12-step programs begin with owning that we're powerless. So there's a humility there. And then we want to start stepping into our power. We want to be empowered. And so part of the empowering is to describe what God really is. Because sometimes even we can feel a victim to God. That God is, I have no choice. God's telling me what to do, or God's punishing me. We have an old idea of a mythic God up in the sky, and it punishes and it rewards, and there's duality. So this is so important, this first step, because we are reorienting our mind to what is real, that there is no opposite, there is no God out there, that God is all life, it is right where I am. It is in, through, and as all creation, yet never absorbed by that creation. There's no opposite. It is infinite love, infinite harmony at all times, at all places. It never can stop being itself, because the moment it stops being itself, that would mean it's finite. And then we've just lost the basic concept that God is infinite and eternal, always, already. It's not becoming more of itself. It is always fully itself in every moment, pure isness. So the invitation this past week was just to start recognizing this oneness in everything that was happening in our life, inwardly and externally, in our interior life and in our relationships, work, finances, just to continue to call forth there's only one power, one presence. It's infinitely good, infinitely loving. So this week we go into the second step of our treatment, of our affirmative prayer, which is unification. And this is to recognize not only is God everything, God is all that I am. I am all that God is. This is, in the Bible, in the Genesis, we were made in the image and likeness of God. That there's no part, as God, there can be no place where God ends. There's no part of me that isn't fully, wholly, and completely God. That isn't this infinite life, eternal. Now, this is an incredibly mystical. This is when we do these first 2 steps of treatment, we liken them to meditation. And that meditation is pure mysticism, which is there's only one, and to really move into that oneness. And this can be where we start using the first face of God, which is the I am. What's beautiful about this I am is that we identify with the I am as individuals. We'll talk about I, meaning Harriet. But then their I am is also infinite. It includes all life. That is the only power. And so we have this beautiful mystical paradox of both being in this relative experience and the infinite experience. That everything inside of me is I am, and everything outside of me is the I am. And so we're moving into this wonderful paradox of empowerment. Not paradox, just the empowerment energy, where before we might have felt in our previous understandings of God a little bit of separation, a little bit of victimhood. Now we're empowered to know that not only is God infinite power, infinite love, infinite joy, I am infinite power, I am infinite love, I am infinite joy. Isn't this so fun? So we have, and there's this great line in Dirty Dancing where I only quote the highest level. Sacred movies and texts. So I went straight to Dirty Dancing. But it was a great line. She was telling her dad was mad at her because he found out stuff about her that he didn't like. And she said, you don't get to love only part of me. You have to love all of me. And I thought, what a great description of what unconditional love is. We don't get just to pick and choose which parts are worth loving. It's all of who we are. So this I am that I am includes all that I am, the parts that I like and want to identify with more, and those parts that I don't like so much. Those I kind of want to push away a little bit. But it's still, as we heal, to recognize that the I am is even part of that. And as we're doing this in our interior life, we're doing this for our planet. There are parts of our planet that we can go out to nature. Oh, this is so beautiful. God's so beautiful. And we can sort of ignore all the places where life is really horrible. But part of the healing is to see the I am even in the midst of those parts that seem horrible in our work life, job life, or just out if you watch the news. So this is incredibly powerful work to include all life, and it's intimate. What I love about this I am, it's the descriptive part, that descriptive God is all there is. It's beautiful, but then as soon as we start moving it to the I am, it becomes so intimate. I am all that it is. I am the dark and the light. I am the adult and child. I am the beauty and the darkness, the dark and the light, the beauty and the ugliness, the good and the bad, the right and the wrong. I am all of it. And it just starts to pour forth the beauty. I'm the creativity. I'm the oceanic urge to create and express all that I can ever be. There becomes this wonderful awareness that not only is God the billions and billions and billions of galaxies and stars, God is literally closer to us than our very breath, because it is our breath and beyond. It's that intimate. It is that intimacy that has known itself as the I am through every aspect of our journey, as we've been from the moment before we were conceived into our infancy, through every experience, every thought we've ever had. I am. There's nothing hidden in the I am. So this is the wonderful mystical state of the I am. So the second kingdom of consciousness is about by me. So the first stage is to me, where we feel like the world is happening to us. The second kingdom consciousness, which we're going to spend the next 2 weeks on, is by me. And this is where I'm moving into alignment with the all that is, I am. And now I can, as Jim had in the reading today, now I'm a co-creator with God. Now I'm participating. Now, through my words, through my recognition, I am consciously activating that which already is. As I mentioned last week, Joel Goldsmith said, God is everywhere, but it's as if it's nowhere if it's not recognized. So it's there, but until we consciously choose to recognize it through our words, through our thoughts, it's as if it's not even there. So it is essential that we actually participate. That's the by me. We are now beginning to participate in what is real. We are participating and calling it forth in our awareness and in our life. God is, I am. I am the way, the truth, and the light. Well, we'll get to that one later. But I allow the creativity, the infinite creativity. I love the infinite abundance to move through me. All the good that God is pouring itself into my physical, emotional, mental experience right here and right now. Suddenly, I'm no longer a victim. I am creating the experience of not only my life, but how I can react to life. Because sometimes we can't always plan what's happening. We don't want to walk around as like I can control every condition in my life, because we can't. But I can respond from a place of truth. The reading today, Ernest Holmes was saying, no matter how dark it is, that's the best time to practice the truth. I have control over that. I can call forth the I am that I am. What's interesting about this, we were having this discussion yesterday about the various events, 9/11 and tsunami, and what we were talking about in this oneness, because we were talking about in 9/11 that was very hard for people in our country, but people were commenting that they had friends from other countries who were like, we live with this. Someone was from El Salvador and said, we live with this violence every day, and it's amazing how Americans are experiencing this for the first time when this is our daily life. And we started talking about degrees of oneness. That one woman was saying, well, I'm from New Orleans. I was born and raised in New Orleans. My family's from there. So I felt great compassion when there was a tsunami and it affected all the people in Sri Lanka. But when it happened in New Orleans, she said, it ripped me apart. And then she said, I had to struggle with that. Why did I care more about the people in New Orleans than I did in Sri Lanka? Why did it impact me more? So we were talking about these degrees that we tend to feel. If something happens in our own family with the people that we love, that tends to impact us more than if it happens to someone in China. We don't feel that intimacy. So it's just to recognize that this is part of our spiritual growth. That this whole idea of growing into oneness, this is why we have the words, but our job, our evolution is to expand in that understanding of oneness. So those degrees aren't quite as big. Ken Wilber talks about anyone can say oneness, but actually it takes deep work to go deeper and deeper into what that oneness really means. So an example of that is Paramahansa Yogananda was a Hindu guru in the 1900s from India, and he later came over to America. This experience happened while he was still in India. He was during World War I, and he was thinking about why there was this suffering. And this is someone who had experienced very high states of consciousness, but he still recognized the pain and the suffering that people were going through. And on the battlefield, and he was in meditation, and suddenly in his meditation, he was a soldier. And he was so identified and had become so much that soldier that he had no memory of being Yogananda. And he was experiencing running on a field and getting shot and feeling the last breaths go out of his body. And the pain, just like, just the shock of being hit by a bullet and the dying process. And then just as he was dying, he was back in his room in India in the meditation. And he said, in that moment, I recognized there was both suffering, but there was total freedom because this is just a play. That soul that was dying was never dying. It just seems like on the human realm that it's dying, but there's actually total freedom that soul was just going to continue. Its body was dying, but it was still fully alive. So he had this experience of completely unifying with someone he never even met. He was embodied in that person. Sometimes we have that experience in past lives. Ernest Holmes was interesting about past lives. He never definitively said whether he believed in reincarnation or not, but he absolutely believed we could experience what people in the past. And he said, I don't know if that, and I love that he was always willing to say, I don't know. So he said, I absolutely believe we can experience what other people have experienced in the past, and I don't know if that means I was that other person or because I am now one with the universal presence, I can contact energies from all time and all space, and I can embody them. So I don't know which is which, but we can embody people who have lived in the past, and we have those experiences of, I know probably many of you have had experiences of feeling connected with various souls in the past. I had an experience, my niece, I have a niece who grew up in Tokyo and then Okinawa. My brother speaks Japanese, and his wife is Japanese. So she loved ballet, and I didn't know her very well, so I knew she loved ballet, and there was this ballet called Le Corset, and I'm going to tell, this is a really cool story, which I'll really tell next week, but she really loved this ballet, Le Corsaire, and I was in Washington, D.C., and Le Corsaire, with the people that she loved, the ballet dancers that she loved, was playing, so I went to go see it. And afterwards, I had my pen and my program for the dancers to sign it so I could send it to her. And Ethan Stiefel, who was a dancer it's a dancing theme today, in the movie Center Stage, he was one of the main dancers. So as he's signing, I don't know how this is happening. So I have this conversation that I'm a minister, and he's telling me, well, his dad was a minister, but he's retired, and now he's a carpenter. And I said, he did it in reverse, and he was looking at me confused, not sure what I was meaning. And what I think I explained to him, Jesus was a carpenter and then became a minister. But what was so interesting, and you just don't know why these things happened, I was suddenly in him. Like my locus, the I am, was no longer in me, it was in him looking out. And it was very disorienting, but I wasn't separate from me either. I was included in it, but the locus of attention was coming through him. And then the people I was with were leaving, they were calling me, and I was feeling pulled. My body was feeling pulled, but my I amness was still in him, and there was this pulling out of him. And I'm glad I wasn't driving, because it really took me a while until I was back in the car where I was reoriented in this body, in this place. And that's why I'm saying this is such a mystical place to be, because we get so identified with just this body-mind as I. But as we continue to do this spiritual work, as we continue to open up to oneness, we actually can start to experience life from another perspective. We can experience the I am, because that I am is in all of us. My I am is no different than your I am or your I am. We all are tapping into the exact same I am, that intimacy. And as we begin to experience that, we do start to feel an intimacy with even people we barely know. It's not just with those people that we care about and have lived our life and know our story and we know their story. Their people can be total strangers, and we can suddenly feel an immediate intimacy with them by contacting this I am. At the same time, it can be disorienting, and this is why we want spiritual practices. When I was in ministerial school, there was a lot of people who were Reiki masters and did channeling and psychic work, and after whatever the regular curriculum was for our retreat, at night they would go all into one room and they do all their work together in one room. So I went one time and they did Reiki on me, and then they were all like reading my energy, and I just, that night, as my energy was flying all over the walls, and it was just, and even out-of-body experiences, still there was like a solidness. This was just like crazy making, just energy flying, and it was very disorienting, because again, the I am is just whoosh, and that's not healthy. I mean, it's not, it was fun, but but it's not, you can't get much done in the world. We're not very effective, and so that experience made me think, well, this is why we have that forgetting, maybe. Because if we're always like flying all over the place, individually, we can't really evolve as individuals, as a system, as a group. We're here to individualize too, not just sort of be all over the place. It was class. I always forget what I said where. So, because there's a primordial, there's a differentiation between a primordial oneness, which is there's no individuality, there's just oneness. That's what a baby is, pure oneness. But our purpose is to evolve, both as collectively and individually, to evolve and to individuate and to be one. That's the divine paradox. This is that incredible spiritual journey that we are on. We are not here just to become blobs, oneness, and have no individuation. We are here to have our unique thoughts. We are here to have our particular, every person here has a name and a way that you show up, and that's essential. And so as we're opening into this I am, we want to feel that intimacy with all life and allow ourselves to feel our oneness, and at the same time feel our individuality and our uniqueness. And that's why, as we do this, we grow and we'll find spiritual practices that will support that. So a healthy way for this is for Reverend Michael Beckwith, who is a minister down in Los Angeles. His main meditation practice is Vipassana, is witnessing meditation, which is what we did at the beginning, where we witness. You witnessed yourself when you were a kid, a teenager, a young adult. That can be a practice that you do all day long, where you're always just witnessing yourself. You're having your experience, your thoughts, and then there's that which is witnessing you. Well, he's been doing this meditation practice for years and years. He has like a 4 or 5 hour a day practice. And so every time I'm with him, and it can be about the most mundane topics, I'll be talking with him, and suddenly, there is this incredible vast spaciousness. This I am is so beyond our body, and yet it includes us. I never lose my own self. And that's when it's healthy. That's when that I am presence is so spacious and so fabulous and so freeing, we don't realize what a small world we live in until we just suddenly open up and realize I am that vastness, and I am Harriet, the body-mind, that we get to be both. And so this is the extraordinary mystical journey of just these first 2 steps of prayer. That's why I love our prayer treatment. There's God is all there is. It is everything, all time, all space, and beyond. And I am one with all time and all space. I am all life that has ever lived and ever will be lived. I am all people, and I am powerfully and uniquely Harriet. I am powerfully and joyfully this unique expression, Harriet. That is the incredible mystical journey to become that. So those words are and the great thing about prayer, if we start doing this on a regular daily practice, we are doing the most mystical practice every single day, and it's active. We're participating. It's by me. We're not just hoping it happens to us. We're not just hoping to experience this. We're calling it forth with power and intention every day. There's only one power and one presence, and I am that life here and now. And last week, I invited people to think of one thing in your life that you wanted to shift from beginning of March to the end of March as we go through this prayer process. So what I invited you to do is to not only say God is all this stuff, but whatever thing that you are praying for, whether it's health or finances or abundance or clarity or love, whatever that is, to also call that forth in these stages of prayer. So I just use self-love as an example because everybody wants self-love. So the recognition stage, God is love, in, through, and as all creation. God is never anything other than love. It loves itself without condition, without limit. It is infinitely loving of all creation and yet never absorbed by that creation. And how grateful I am to know that I am that love, that all that I am is love. That every aspect of this life called Harriet is absolutely overflowing in unconditional love. There's nothing outside of me that is love. So now we're moving into the God is, I am. And I'm starting to claim all that God is, I am. It is impossible for me ever to be outside of that love. It is impossible for me ever to do, say, or think anything that is outside of that love. It is impossible for me ever to experience anything outside of that love. There becomes that power. So that's an example, but if you're praying for health, I am always health. God is infinite health. There's never a time where God isn't health. And so I call forth that health here and now as my physical. And so for those of you who may be new to New Thought, our teaching actually began around curing health issues because doctors weren't so great in the 1800s. And cures did happen by calling forth its absolute first cause presence, where there's no duality, where there's no other. This place where there's no opposite. I'm calling forth abundance. Abundance is a huge issue. As we were going through these issues yesterday in class, just abundance shows up so much. It's the fear of we're not enough, whether it's money, energy, I don't have enough power, I don't have enough stuff, supply, that so much of our conflict arises from not enough. So abundance is that God is infinitely abundant. Just look at all those beautiful leaves out there. God does everything in abundance. And to start unifying, so God is abundance, I am abundance. I can never be anything other than abundance. There's no opposing force to my abundance. All that abundance is pouring forth into my life right now. I am this. I am the abundance. Every atom and cell, every feeling, every thought is abundance, is overflowing in abundance. I am abundance of energy. I'm abundance of life. I'm abundance of vitality, creativity, beauty, of new ideas. I am abundance. So do you see how this is all working? The oneness and the I am. Incredibly powerful, incredibly powerful. And the reason why I was saying pick what you want to pray for, because that's the unique self. That's the I am uniquely wanting to call forth in your life, in this specific life called Harriet, and that specific life called Cynthia. It's wanting to call itself forth individually, perfectly through you. So at any area that we want to move into alignment, greater alignment of our good, call that forth. And so that's my invitation this week for all of you, for all of us, is to, as this past week we were calling forth to see oneness, now see yourself, I am. I just want you to, so there's only good here. You're in a situation at work, you're in a situation in a relationship, you're in finances, health, whatever it is, spiritually, whatever is going on, not recognize that God is all there is, and then say, I am all that there is here. I am the infinite good that is happening here. Allow that intimacy to happen. I am the good that is happening in this conversation. I am the good that is happening in this condition. I am the freedom that is happening. I am the abundance. I am the creativity. I am the love. I am the joy. I am the peace that passes all understanding. Call forth the I amness this week. Allow the power of that, because that's what the second kingdom is all about, is really stepping into the power of who and what we really are, to no longer be, I can't do this. I am infinite. I am one with the all power of the universe. I am. So feel the power of that energy this week in every area of your life. Are you willing to do that?
Yes.
Yes. Can't wait. All right. Oh, 10:15, sorry. Forgot to look at the clock. So let us pray from this wonderful place, this wonderful energy. And we do begin by recognizing that God is all that has ever been and ever will be. There will never be any more God later today, tomorrow, next year, than there is right now. There is no more God in Jesus' time, in Jesus' life, in Buddha's life, Krishna's life, than there is right now. There's no more God and a spiritual master and enlightened teacher than there is right now in the center of our being. All that God has ever been and will be is right now, right here, at the center of the I am that I am. And so I call forth the power and the presence and this love of God. I recognize it, and by recognizing it, I call and activate it forth as all, this entire planet. I bless all that I am as this one power, all that we are as this one power. The I am is never out of alignment with itself, and so I call forth this alignment in every aspect of our life, internally and externally. I call forth the I am in every area of our life that feels out of alignment, emotionally, physically, mentally, on every level and dimension in our relationships, externally, in our finances, in our work life, in our family life, in our friendship life, in our relationship with the world and the planet. We call forth that I am presence and recognize that though the world is going through much conflict, and we can recognize that there, on a human level, is pain, we recognize that which is underneath, the perfection of the I am that I am. Right where the conflict is happening in the Ukraine and Russia, the I am's perfection is there. I am there. I am right there. There is no separation in time and space. That all that God is at the center of my being, including the Ukraine and Russia. I am. I am at the center of my family. I am the center of my community. I am the center of my work life. I am the center of all conditions that I would call negative. I am at the center of all conditions that I might call good. I am at the midst of all of it as beauty, harmony, divine right order, perfect health, perfect love, perfect peace that passes all human understanding, abundance beyond my wildest imagination, joy, delight, freedom. I am. And so how I celebrate this I am presence here and now, I celebrate its fulfillment as everyone in this room, that I am is never blocking itself or withholding itself. It is fully giving of itself. And so I just give thanks that we are here to receive and give of ourselves fully, that we are unlimited in our givingness of truth, our givingness of recognition, the givingness of the I am that I am. And I am grateful that in this recognition and calling forth as the I am, things are shifting beyond our wildest imagination. Things are shifting that we didn't even know needed shifting, that we are open to all of it. The I am is all of it. And I am so grateful to recognize it, to feel it, to be it, to sing and dance and play and work and relate and create as the I am that I am. I am so grateful that I am all life in this room and all life in the planet, and I have fulfilled my highest possibility in this moment and will continue to do moment by moment because I can't help myself. And so it is in deep and abiding joy that I just let this word be now, knowing it is already done as it is spoken, for I am the way and the truth and the light. In deep and abiding peace, I let it be. And I invite us all to say together now, and so it is. Amen.